thank you for the wonderful ecumenical response to your call as Kairos Canada to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God from Micah 6:8. So this is a wonderful expression of that. My name, as was mentioned, is Rula Aude. I'm a Canadian of Palestinian heritage and Christian faith. I serve as the chair of the board of Canadian Friends of Seville, which is a Christian national ecumenical response to the call of Palestinian Christians for solidarity. So what do we do? Through education and engagement, we support the struggle for equality in justice, freedom, and human rights for Palestinians living under apartheid and military occupation. With partners around the world, we work non-violently for a just and durable peace for Palestinians and Israelis. Let me share a little bit about my family's story. My father, Sami, is a 90-year-old survivor of the 1948 Nakba, or ethnic cleansing, that forced his family to flee from their home in Jerusalem. Actually, half the Palestinian population at that time suffered this trauma of losing their homes, land, livelihoods, and communities. And in fact, 70% of Gazans are 1948 Nakba survivors or are their descendants. And unfortunately, they're going through the same thing all over again. My father is Anglican and my mother is Greek Orthodox. Our Palestinian Christian relatives and friends are found everywhere that Palestinians are found, in Gaza and the West Bank, in Israel, and in the diaspora. We Palestinian Christians, as with all Palestinians, are stunned that yet another Nakba is being waged against us. We are grieving at the silence, the inaction, the impunity, the complicity that has been going on for 76 years since the 1948 Nakba, since the illegal military occupation by Israel in 1967, and since the cruel blockade of Gaza that started in 2007. We mourn because this inaction, silence, and so on has led to the horrific and unparalleled crisis that we are all witnessing now. I'm sure you've seen all the pilgrimages, all the 5 calls of action from the Ceasefire pilgrimage, so I won't repeat them. I think you've been carrying them and hearing about them already. But I just want to let you know that we at Canadian Friends of Seville amplify the voices of Palestinian Christian siblings to confirm the extreme urgency of ending, whether you want to call it a genocide or mass killing or mass slaughter. It is a genocide according to Francesca Albanese from the United Nations Special Rapporteur. There is an allegation of genocide being investigated by the International Court of Justice. And as Palestinians, this is what we feel is happening to our people. So it is extremely urgent to end the genocide and the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. We are amplifying their call for the truth to come out by ensuring that the international journalists and aid workers can go in to document and report. As you may have heard, Associated Press have had all their cameras that are showing what's happening in Gaza completely cut off and removed, and that's very ominous. So that's something we need for the immediate term. But in the medium term, the Palestinian Christians have emphasized the importance of addressing accountability. And so we call on the churches to insist on accountability by asking the Canadian government and Parliament to uphold international humanitarian and human rights laws. Without these laws being upheld and applied, the world risks descending into barbarism and endless violence against innocent civilians. There are 2 international courts currently working on this. The International Court of Justice has found that there is a plausible case of genocide by Israel and has issued several provisional measures to protect Palestinians in Gaza. And yet, the massive death toll, injuries, enforced starvation, destruction of critical civilian facilities, and the prevention of the conditions for life are intensifying as we speak. On Monday, May 20th, this past Monday, the International Criminal Court prosecutor announced that he would request arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas leaders for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity. Beit Salem, the International Information Center for Human Rights in the occupied territories, has stated the following, and I quote, "The international community is signaling to Israel that it can no longer maintain its policy of violence, killing, and destruction without accountability. Likewise, the request for arrest warrants against Hamas leaders for the crimes of October 7th is important and draws a red line when harm to civilians is concerned." Beit Salem continues, The Israeli violence directed at Palestinians to perpetuate the occupation is state violence and is inherent to the Israeli apartheid regime. This is true in the West Bank, in the Gaza Strip, and everywhere else. The ICC interventions and ICJ rulings are a chance for us Israelis to realize that we should have understood long ago, that upholding a regime of supremacy, violence, and oppression necessarily involves war crimes and severe violations of human rights. End of quote. What about for the longer term? We cannot wait any longer. It's already been 76 years of steadfastness, or sumud, that my father, like all Palestinian Christians, like all Palestinians, continue to insist that they have a right to life, safety, security, freedom, equality, justice, and self-determination, just like all people around the world deserve, without exception. Just like Israelis, just like everyone in the Middle East, our prayer is that Palestinians will no longer be an exception. Palestinian Christians have been a continuous presence in the Holy Land for over 2,000 years, and we cannot give up on our siblings from the cradle of Christianity. They need us to amplify their voice in our churches and our ecumenical initiatives. We are here for them, and we are here today to advance our shared goals of justice and a durable peace for all Palestinians and all Israelis. And we're here to support our church leaders who are asking that our government do more. At Canadian Friends of Sabeel, we're in constant dialogue with churches and ecumenical groups across Canada and around the world. We are finding ways to synergize, to align, and to act with more strength and speed towards our shared goals. As we live according to our Christian principles, as we speak up and act for the oppressed, just as our Lord Jesus Christ did. I'll leave you with a Bible verse that I rely on from Ephesians 6:14 to 15. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. Thank you so much. God bless you all.